Okay, so today in class we went over this program that looked kind of daunting, mainly because of this line right here. Some of you might have understood it. I didn't, and I know that some of you didn't, so I figured I'd make this just to go over it, because when I got home, I realized that it was actually extremely simple. And I'd hate for a lot of us to get off to on the wrong foot and not understanding something that is on the first day of class. So let's start off by talking about the constants. At the top of the program in our pre-processing, we've got two constants defined. One is our response size, and that would be the size of, that's going to be used for the size of this array here. So we have 40 responses, and if you look at all these numbers, the highest number is 10, the lowest number is 1. So we're going to be storing um, how often each of these numbers occur. Basically, we're counting how many times does 1 occur, how many times does 2, how many 6s do we have, how many 4s. And so in order to store that information, we're actually going to need 11 spaces, or 11 spots for that, because we're not using 0. As you see, 0 doesn't appear here, but you can't make an array without 0, because arrays start at 0, and an array from 0 to 10 is an array with the size 11. So our response size is 40, and our frequency size is 11. I'm using a Mac, so I clear the system because a lot of garbage gets put on the screen before the program starts. So you can ignore this line. So right here we have a counter, and here we also have another counter, and we'll talk about that in a second. So here we're declaring our first array. This is the array that holds how many each number appears in this set, in this array. And we're going to initialize this array to 0. So we have an array, an integer array called frequency with a size of 11, because we set this variable to a constant, which is 11. So int frequency 11 equals 0. So that means all 11 values are 0. Okay, so here, int responses, we have response size is 40. So we have an integer array, 40, the size of 40, and we define every single value in that array. All 40 of them are here. Okay, so now here's the meat of the issue. So here's our for loop, our first for loop, and what we're going to be doing, this for loop is going to calculate how many times each number appears in this set. Okay, so probably the best way to understand this is to look at this first, because really what it is it's nested arrays. It's an array position defined by evaluating an array based on its position. I know that sounds complicated, but let's take a look at this first. So responses answer is going to be the first evaluation, because you start from the inside out. So answer is going to start at 0, because that's what the for loop says. For answer equals 0, answer less than response size. So 0 is less than 40. So we're going to go into this loop, and response is 0. So that means that this evaluates to 1, because our first value in this array is 1. So plus frequency 1. So that means that we're going to increment not the first value, but the second value of frequency, because if it was the first value, it would be plus frequency 0. Our evaluation of responses answer gives us 1, so we're going to do plus frequency 1. So that means that 1 appears 1 time. So if we print out, at this point, since we've done 1 iteration, we can print out frequency 1, and we'll get 1. It'll have appeared 1 time. So now we go back through the loop, answer now equals 1, and we go responses 1, and that's the second value in this array, which is 2. So this evaluates to 2, so plus frequency 2. So that means that your value for frequency 2 is going to have 1. So, and you just keep going through, and that's how you tally up how many, each appears. So we'll keep going. Answer now equals 2. So responses 2 is going to give you a third value in the array, which is 6. So that means that we're incrementing frequency 6 by 1. So at this point we have 1 1, 1 2, and 1 6. And then we have answer equals 0. Answer equals 3. Responses 3 gives us the fourth value, which is 4. This evaluates to 4. Frequency 4, we're incrementing by 1. So we have 1 1, 1 2, 1 6, and 1 4. Now here's our second one. So now answer equals 4 since we're incrementing. The answer goes up 1 every time an iteration goes through. So answer equals 4, which means we're dealing with our fifth value in this array, responses. So responses 4 evaluates to 1. So that means we're incrementing frequency 1 by 1. We already did that at the very beginning when answer equals 0. So we now have 2 1s. So that means that frequency 1 equals 2. Frequency 2 equals 1. Frequency 3 equals 0. Frequency 4 equals 1. Frequency 5 equals 0. And frequency 6 equals 1. So as we go through all these numbers, we're going to be adding 1 for each time the number appears in the array. It makes a lot more sense to me now. I understood it not at all in class, but now I understand it after I look at it at home. So it really helps to look at it in quiet. For some people, for others, it helps to ask questions and interact with the teacher and your peers. For me, it really helps to just get in a quiet space. Because for me, I've already done a lot of programming myself, so I just need to kind of get in a quiet area to kind of digest the information. Okay, and then after that, this is really the easy part. We already went through all the hard part. The rest of it is all pretty easy. Here we're just printing the title for a table. We have a string, which is rating, followed by 17 spaces, and then a line return, or a new line. And then we have a for loop to print out all the values of the frequency of each number, 1 through 10. So, and as you can see, we didn't use frequency 0. So frequency 0 remains 0, and we're not even going to print it out because rating actually starts at 1. So we're not even dealing, so in this case, we're not even dealing with the first value of this array for frequency because it's irrelevant because there's no 0 in this information set. Just to kind of just real quick touch on this. So basically, we're starting rating 1. So the first line is going to be a decimal number, rating, which is going to be 1, followed by 17 spaces. And then you're going to have, it's going to be 6 spaces before it outputs the decimal so that it lines up with the word rating. It's a formatting thing. And then 17 spaces, and then frequency 1, which is going to give you the number of times that 1 appeared in this information set, which will be just 2. So it's just 2. So it keeps going like that. And I have, let me pull up this. Okay, so, and then here's the output for that. Or, that might be the wrong one. Let's see. That's the right one. Okay, so as you can see, this is what the output looks like as it goes through. So this right here is the output of the frequency or the rating the count, the rating count, and then for the rating, the value of frequency rating. In other words, frequency 1 is 2, frequency 2 is 2. So, and that's how it works, and it's that simple. So, hope you guys understand that. It's pretty easy once you have it explained. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And hope you guys have a good rest of the week.